I think that company has gone in the crapper when the transition was made over from Vince McMahon to TKO on so many levels.
All right, let's talk about Maven stating that WWE is not as good without Vince McMahon. He said, now I don't think professional wrestling is a better product without Vince at the helm. Hold on, let me explain. I'm well aware of the allegations, and no part of me is insinuating that WWE should bring Vince back. I don't think so. And I don't co-sign on anything he did. But Vince had two things going for him. One, he was an amazing businessman. Did he have some misses? Of course. You swing that many times in the business world, you're going to miss occasionally. But second, and probably most important, Vince was a fan. Vince, like most wrestling fans, grew up around the business. He grew up watching his dad, and he grew up knowing how to put shows together. And remember, they started before entertainment was what it is today. I personally think that was very well said by Maven. And I do think, before I give you the floor, I do think he made something very interesting. He said he grew up watching his dad, and he grew up knowing how to put shows together. I think that that's really important, because when you think about that from a McMahon perspective, they're going to do everything that they can promotion-wise to bring people to the tent, and they're going to leave enough intrigue to, when people leave the tent, they want to come back to the tent. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about from a pro wrestling armory, from an armory wrestling tent perspective, that's that old school mentality, man. You're saying, hear ye. Mm-hmm. You're having the posters on the pillars. Yep. You're bringing people to the tent, and you're leaving them with the show, bringing them back to the tent. And if they come back to the tent and they keep seeing the same stuff over and over and over again, they're not going to come back to the tent, because they're going to get burned out from seeing the same thing. So what do you think about that, Vince?
I agree with him 1,000%. We've got to separate Vince the personal from Vince the professional. Sure. we gotta separate business from personal. I agree with this 1,000%. Yeah. I think that company has gone in the crapper when the transition was made over from Vince McMahon to TKO on so many levels.
Do you think that a lot of TKO's increase in ticket prices is an admission in and of itself that they're not bringing as many people to compensate for if the ticket prices were as half before the merge? They're double now the merge. Yep. If they would have been half, they would have lost so much money because they're losing people. So to compensate and try to balance that out, you're doubling the ticket prices to compensate for the audience being going in half. And so do you think that TKO is making those adjustments because it's an admission in and of itself that the audience is fading?
Well, first and foremost, I think the problem is they didn't know their audience. I think they were looking at, the wrestling audience like it was a UFC audience. I mean,
in many ways, Shapiro even alluded to that, comparing them to UFC and boxing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it started there. I mean, bro, if WrestleMania tickets have already gone on sale and then, they're doing a commercial after that, they're doing the commercial to sell tickets. Correct. WrestleMania used to sell out immediately.
Like that.
Now they had to do this commercial because it's not selling out. And
I don't know if you noticed, Vince, I want to add this real quick. I don't know if you noticed, but
what that Triple H was in the center of the ad? Yeah,
I know. I think that's very noticeable.
I noticed that.
But one thing I did notice on X is like every pro wrestler in the WWE from the wazoo is posting this template promo of WrestleMania, I saw like Ray Phoenix, his ex, pulled up in my algorithms, and he had the same template WrestleMania post just as everybody else did, and I'm like, this must be like a company email to give all the people.
No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, if anybody, like Ray Phoenix isn't the person that would just randomly like, oh yeah, you got to be at WrestleMania.
Bro, everybody for years and years and years and years were, screaming and begging for Vince to get out of wrestling. Obviously, he got out of wrestling not the way he would have decided. But if anybody thinks it's a better business without Vince, I say you're absolutely out of your mind.
Yeah. What do you think the true heart of most of the audience now are marks. I mean, that's the majority of the pro wrestling audience nowadays. What do you think they feel of the product Triple H versus Vince McMahon?
Oh, the marks? Oh, I think the marks think it's 1,000% better. The problem is the marks are dwindling. That's the problem. There's less and less people thinking that. That's the problem.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I do think that Maven's got a fantastic point, man, when it comes to this. And he even talked about in that video that he doesn't watch the product anymore. And I saw it. I saw the clip that Raji's talking about. Yeah. Indeed.